guys, it's Sarah and it's Sunday, so it's time for my regular video. This week has been pretty exciting. It's NaNoWriMo, so I've been busy, but also it's the first time it snowed. And since I also have footage of last week when it was just like fall outside, I decided to show you guys both of that footage. So there's some footage from last week when I was just driving around in the fall, and there's some footage of Friday, I believe, right after it had snowed. So there you go. That's what it looks like here. So as far as NaNoWriMo goes, I've really only been making any progress during live streams. I don't really know what to make of that. I just haven't been real focused. I'm not sure why, but I do know that sometimes I do get a little bit lost at this point during the month. That's not abnormal. Ultimately, I'm about 1 day behind, which isn't terrible, but it's also not great. So I'm hoping to be able to make up that over the next couple days. I am off work on Monday. It's Veterans Day here. With NaNoWriMo trucking along, this is the point where I frequently get discouraged. So one of the things I did is made a list of things that help me to learn from my mistakes so that I can keep in mind that even if I'm not 100% successful with this NaNoWriMo, that I'm still going to get something out of it. So here's some things that you can do to learn from your mistakes. That might help you to keep writing even if you think you've made some mistakes or you think you need to go back. You can, when you reread your work, when it's time to go back and reread it, think about like what you actually think about it. What do you think about the way it sounds? What do you think about the way the pacing is? Really look at that and think about whether or not that rings true with you. One of the really great ways to do that is to read it aloud or have someone else read it to you aloud. There are multiple ways to read it. I believe Microsoft Word has a reading function. I know YWriter has a reading function. There are readers online all over the place. So you can have someone else read it to you if you don't want to read it aloud. But hearing it out loud does make it clearer and makes it easier to understand it. And it'll help you to hear the things that work and don't work in your writing and help you to not make those mistakes in the future. Or at least to know how to go back afterwards and identify them. When you read other people's work, you can look at the things that work or don't work for you in that work and use that on your own, in your own work. Sometimes you'll read a phrase or a word that just doesn't ring right with you and you just feel like I would never use that word. Well, then put that away in the bank of words you're just not going to use and move on. But at least you've learned something from it. That's a word that you're just not interested in using. That's a phrase you're not interested in using, something like that. And you can move on with it. Another thing you can do is figure out what you're weak in the ways I've just mentioned or any other ways you can think of. And once you identify what you're weak in, what you can do is you can look up authors who are good at those things, and you can purposefully read their books and assess whether or not you think they're good at them, whether or not you would be able to implement some of the things they do that get across the things that you're not getting across, and possibly implement similar things in your writing that might help to get your thoughts across more clearly. So you can learn a lot from making mistakes and from other people's mistakes if you really sit down and let yourself think about those things and think about what it is that makes that right or wrong. And as you do that, you will just become a better author because you will just avoid those things that make it wrong, and only utilize the things that sound correct or the things that work. And you'll start to chip away at what those things are. So it can be very useful. I do think that this is really important to remember while you're writing, especially during NaNoWriMo, that you always have the ability to go back and edit. You can always go back and look at it and decide that you want something different. I mean, I guess unless you're under deadline, but typically you can go back and look at it whenever you want to and decide whether or not to keep or change what you have. So it doesn't make sense to not utilize that. So go ahead and just keep moving forward. Note the things that you need to note. Sometimes I write things off in the margins. Sometimes I'll put a note in like red text instead of black text telling me what I need to fix later when I notice. So that way at least I have an idea of what I'm looking at when I go back to edit. But you can go back and edit, so just try to move along, try to keep going. Don't make yourself crazy over a small change that you need to make later when you know you're going to have to go back over it. I think that does it for this week. I don't really have a whole lot else to say. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today and for watching, and I hope all of you are doing really well on your NaNoWriMo if you're doing it. If not, I hope you're doing well on whatever you are doing. Don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button down below and share this video with anyone you think might find it interesting. And I will see you guys all on Friday for my live stream where we will get some more words written. Hopefully I will have written something between now and then. But we will see you guys all later. Have a wonderful week and good writing. Bye.